I found this really cool mid-century modern waterfall dresser, and I was really hopeful. But then the more I looked at it, this makeover is part of the Hope Challenge hosted by Crystal from Crafty Creech DIYs and Kat from Owling Dog Design. It's part of the Unique Antique Challenge. In this one, we're supposed to transform a hopeless piece of furniture using pastels. Like I said, I was pretty hopeful about this piece until I started to dig into, after actually when we loaded it in the van, pieces were just falling off from the back, the sides. So the veneer was just chipping off like crazy. So I started to feel like it wasn't so hopeful. I thought it was going to be kind of an easy flip, and I love the design of the piece, and I wanted to do something with it that was certainly not pastel in my in my original thoughts. I just thought I would kind of restore it, update it. So does this mean 1937? I believe it does. So I'm going to get rid of the supports that held the mirror because there was no mirror with it. And generally, I have better luck selling dressers without mirrors than I do with them. I love these drawer pulls. They're really cool, and I feel like this is what makes this piece super unique. So I'm going to remove them to get them clean and all that good stuff. The drawers are really in pretty good shape. Mainly just had some paper laying down in them, so nothing I had to pull up, and everything looks good underneath it. I guess the paper was doing a good job. So I removed these drawer pulls, and I'm not exactly sure, but I have an idea what I'm going to do with them. The bottom drawer was a little sticky. I'm looking at that one a little bit closer, and I'll pull it out. Well, obviously I'll pull it out, but I'll make sure that it's sound structurally, and if there's any excess glue, if someone repaired it, we'll make sure that it's gliding in and out pretty easily. So when I thought about pastel, I thought about mid-century modern designs because even though it's a waterfall, it is sort of mid-century. I like this cool design, and then I hit upon this on Pinterest. It's by Cassie from the Make Collective. I found her on Instagram and contacted her and asked her if she minded if I shared her photo and also kind of did a dupe on her piece. Obviously, the drawer pulls on hers are different and were different unless she re-drilled. That's my inspo, and look, look at the fun. So are you getting what I'm getting, that it's kind of hopeless? At least for some people. Honestly, I look for furniture that's kind of hopeless because usually you get it for a lot less. That's just kind of what I do because I can do some small repairs. And I decide the best thing to do with this is to just get rid of all of that excess loose stuff, and I'm going to replace with a piece of trim. So I'm just kind of pounding and pulling away from that board that's underneath it. And then I'm just going to put a piece of trim right over it. For the rest of the missing veneer on the sides, I choose to use Durham's water putty. I first have to re-glue this piece because it's kind of broke off in a weird way, but I kind of forced it down underneath, and I'm going to glue that. But I am going to put the Durham's water putty over everything. I'm choosing that because our temperatures are getting warmer, but I figured it would be the quickest set and one of the harder finishes. I decided to go with that instead of mud or wood filler because I felt like it would be a lot more permanent. I return my attention to the back of the piece and continue to remove the excess wood. And then I measure and cut a piece of trim for the back. Not too bad, and now we're ready for that water putty. It's super easy to mix up. You just put some of the powder in, and then you add water and stir it until you get the consistency that you're looking for. I simply begin to glob it on and spread it out. I'm trying to make it as flat as possible so that my sanding isn't that difficult. It's a little windy out there, although I did have my dust extraction going, so I wasn't really worried about the sawdust flying everywhere, but, you know, everything else was, including the dresser at one point. I want to work on the top of my piece. So I am masking it off. So simple, easy to do. Just follow those lines, and I'm going to do a whitewash on the top of this dresser and on the top drawer. Now, what follows is a little bit of a challenge, as you will see. I start by using Voodoo Gel Stain from Dixie Belle in the color Au Naturel. My little squirt bottle isn't working so well. It's clogged, so remember to clean your bottles after you're done using them. Do as I say, not as I do. After multiple attempts, this is what I got after removing the lid, and I will say I also watered it down a tad because I was getting to the end. So again, what follows is interesting to say the least. Anyway, so what I decided to do then was I got some Tobacco Road, which is another darker color, and I mixed the two of them together and I applied that. I didn't have my newest colors of the Voodoo Gel Stain with me, or I would have been using them. Since I've moved to the coffee shop, I don't have my inventory there with me to just grab a bottle off the shelf, so I kind of have to go with what I have or plan better. That might be a good idea. I actually really liked how the top came out, but then when I did the drawer, it didn't come out the same, just because the top that I started with was a little darker to start with. So after a lot of trial and error, I ended up adding some white magic, which is a white version of this stain, and then it kind of evened things out a little bit. So when I come back and look at it again, I will decide if that's the final version or if we're going to do something else to it. Next comes the surprise. I was planning on using a pale green in my mind based on the inspiration, but when I looked in my paint cupboard, I saw this beautiful color of silk conch. Now, it's spelled C-O-N-C-H, and it's after a shell, and people in the South call it conch, and us Northerners call it conch, so I guess the right way is conch, so I'm trying to be right. It just never sounds right to say conch, but what do you say? But anyway, this shade's beautiful. There's no argument about that. And I decided to go full tilt pastel. And also, YouTubers Jamie and Zeb from Jamie Ray Vintage, she says every time they paint something pink, that it disappears. They sell it immediately. So I'm going to try and see if that theory will work for me. While that coat is drying, I take a look at those handles and I see that one of the end caps is cracked. So I glue and clamp that, and then I use gilding wax in gold from Dixie Belle to paint the gold finish on the rest of the poles or the handles. I was going to finish them with a matching finish as to the wood on the top, but I thought it might be a little more updated and interesting to just do the entire thing in gold. Plus, it was a little easier. When you use gold gilding wax on hardware, it doesn't stay waxy. It cures very nicely, and you can touch it and no wax will come off. While you're watching, please remember to watch all of the videos in the playlist. So that'll be at the end screen and also in the description box. So here's where we are. I think it's looking pretty good, but I'm going to add some transfers, I think. I think this will be really pretty. It's from the 12 Roses, and also just kind of cover up some of my boo-boos that weren't smooth. I take a look all around the piece and decide where exactly I need to put my transfers to camouflage my rough sanding job. And, you know, I didn't realize it was that bad until I put the paint on it. And yes, I could have done some more, but I'm choosing to camouflage instead. I always tell people my videos are not tutorials. They are simply just showing you what I've done. I cut this transfer up. There's basically 4 sections of roses, and I cut it up so that I could strategically place it in those places. So some people say they have a hard time being random with their placement of things. Well, if you do it the camouflage version, then it dictates where your roses will go, so you don't have to worry about it. It worked out rather well. I did the big pieces first and then filled in with the small. And I really like these letters, and I wanted to make sure I pulled the drawer out to get it just right. And I'm really liking the way it looks, but I am going to take a real fine grit sandpaper and go over it just to get all of the just little pieces since I layered my transfers. So I'm just going over everything. I think it's a 320 grit sandpaper. I take an 80 grit and go over the drawer tops. I had painted them while they were laying down, and so I didn't paint the upper edges. I want to make sure that the drawers don't stick. I do want to put a coat of paint on, but I just want to make sure that they're nice and smooth. I get a detail brush and I am painting in the dovetail. Sometimes that's a nice little feature. I didn't want to do transfers or anything on the sides of the drawers or stencils because all the wood grain was really pretty on the drawers. So I'm just doing this little transitional paint job for the dovetail joints. I use Big Mama's Butter and Fresh and Clean. This is moisturizing the inside of the drawer as well as giving it a fresh, clean scent. Of all of the scented waxes that Dixie Belle makes, this one's my favorite. It has the most pleasing scent to me. Some of them are a little strong, but I really like this one. And that scent will last about 6 weeks. I use clear wax and coat the entire piece. I want to seal in those transfers, and this is the method I'm choosing to use. On the top, I added some gray wax too. Some of my sanding showed some of the swirl lines, and I kind of wanted to disguise them and also to deepen the color a little bit. And the gray wax, the grunge gray, did the trick. Do you remember what condition this dresser was in before I started? It was kind of hopeless. Now I think it's a pastel beauty. Thank you, Crystal and Kat, for hosting this challenge, and I look forward to seeing everybody's videos in the playlist. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Find us on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.